Hello my dear friends. So friends, in the previous session, we are done with discussion about a beautiful topic called value of supply. And in fact, with that discussion, we are done with the topics of introduction to GST. We have also discussed about the story of supply dealt by section 7 and section 8. Of course, section 7 talks about the concept of supply. Section 8 talks about the concept of composite supply and mixed supply. That is also very clearly done. And after that, we discussed about a beautiful topic called time of supply, and we closed that topic dealt by section 12, 13 and 14. 12 is time of supply for goods, 13 is time of supply for services, 14 is time of supply for change in rate of tax. So all these wonderful topics we have already done, my dear friends. And apart from this, I have also completed a discussion about another fantastic topic called registration, dealt from section 22 to 30. And after that, we are done with recently a topic called value of supply, dealt by section 15, and of course to be learned along with rule 27 to rule 35. And by the way, what is rule 27? Rule 27 talks about a case where consideration is not wholly in money. Rule 28, supplies between distinct or related persons. Rule 29, principal to agent. Rule 30, 110% of cost. Then rule 31, best judgment, and rule 31A, valuation in case of betting, gambling, lottery. And I taught you the recent and the latest amendment in relation to betting, gambling, lottery also. Then rule 32 talks about determination of value of supply in case of certain notified supplies. Correct, right? Then rule 33 talks about pure agent. Then rule 34 talks about rate of exchange. Then finally, Rule 35 talks about how do we do the valuation in case where value of supply is inclusive of GST. That is also done, my dear friends. I'm pretty sure we got good clarity on all these points. Clear? So friends, without any second thought and without any delay, let's start discussion about a beautiful topic, and in fact a very interesting topic, that is nothing but place of supply. And let me tell you, place of supply is a very interesting and important topic, not just from an examination standpoint, but even from a practical standpoint. This topic is very important, very integral and very important, because there are so many minute, important, intricate aspects in this concept of place of supply, which practically has got greatest impact, for which you definitely need to have a great clarity of thought on how do we interpret this concept of place of supply. And let me tell you, first point very clearly, that this concept of place of supply is not dealt by CGST Act, but we are dealing with the concept of IGST Act, my dear friends. I repeat one more time, we are not dealing with CGST Act, instead we are dealing with IGST Act. And in this place of supply, we have got a good number of sections to talk, which will definitely take some time. And there were many occasions where place of supply came in exam for 6 marks also. Sometimes place of supply came for 8 marks also, and one time came only for 4 marks, one time came only for 2 marks also. So all said and done, there is a high possibility where good number of marks can come from this topic of place of supply. And keeping the story of marks aside, this is one such topic which is extremely important and very practical. At CA final level, this is one such area where students should have a complete clarity of thought. So we'll spend some very good time on discussion about this beautiful concept of place of supply. Ready guys? Come on, let's start. So now, to explain you this concept of place of supply, let me first tell you one very interesting point, my dear friends. If you remember, I taught you in the initial days of GST that supply, we have got two types of supply called intra-state supply, other one is called interstate supply. And intra-state supply is that supply on which we charge CGST and SGST, and interstate supply is that supply on which we will charge IGST. Correct, my dear friends? This basic fundamental knowledge already we have got, that supply is of two types: intrastate supply, interstate supply. For intrastate supply we will charge CGST and SGST, and for interstate supply we will charge IGST. Now big question is all about when do we call a supply as intra-state supply and when do we call a supply as interstate supply. That is very, very important, which you should get complete clarity of thought as to when do we call a supply as intrastate supply and when do we call a supply as intrastate supply. Extremely important, friends. Clear, right? Come on, now listen very clearly, carefully concentrate. So first of all, one point very clearly is that POS is an integral element. I told this in the previous class, but I want to tell once again, and I want you to write in your notes also. Very, very important. So please listen. POS is an integral element. POS is an integral element to determine type of supply. I repeat one more time, my dear friends. POS is an integral element to determine type of supply. And next point, my dear friends, type of supply is an integral element to determine type of tax. Come on, my dear friends. What is the first point I wrote? POS is an integral element to determine type of supply. Second point what I wrote is that type of supply is an integral element to determine type of tax. Now one line last I'll write, very important, is that type of tax will have an impact. Type of tax will have an impact on availability. Type of tax will have an impact on availability of input tax credit. So whether input tax credit available or not, it depends upon type of tax, my dear friends. Now let me explain to you very clearly what is this concept. First listen, I'll give a wonderful example, then you'll get some great clarity, then I can move forward. Listen. Sir, let's say a lovely example I'll give you. Listen very clearly, sir. Sir, let's say there is SHIVA TEJA. SHIVA TEJA is a registered person in, let's say, Telangana state. SHIVA TEJA is a registered person in Telangana state. Now, I went to Bengaluru. On some official work. I repeat one more time, my dear friends. I went to Bengaluru on some official work. Official work only, nothing else, don't worry. So SHIVA TEJA went to Bengaluru for some official work. And in Bengaluru, what I have done is, I stayed in Taj Hotel. Stayed where, my dear friends? Taj Hotel. And let me tell you, Taj Hotel is a registered person in Karnataka. Come on, my dear friends. SHIVA TEJA is a registered person where? SHIVA TEJA is a registered person in Telangana state. And I went to Bengaluru for some official work. And in Bengaluru, I stayed in Taj Hotel. And Taj Hotel is a registered person in Karnataka. Clear, right? So, a Telangana person basically went to Karnataka state. I repeat one more time. A Telangana person basically went to Karnataka state for some official work. And in Karnataka state, I stayed in Bangalore in a hotel called Taj Hotel. And I stayed in a hotel there. Now, question is, let's say for a second, hotel bill worked out to 10,000. Now my straight question to you very clearly is that, question number 1, will hotel charge CGST and SGST, or will the hotel charge CGST and SGST, or will they charge IGST? There cannot be a case where CGST, IGST is coming, or IGST is SGST is coming. It's not possible. Either CGST, SGST both will come, or only IGST will come. So first question is, will the hotel charge CGST and SGST, or will the hotel charge IGST? That we'll talk. Then second, can SHIVA TEJA claim input tax credit? I repeat one more time, friends. What is the language I used to say? can Shiva TEJA claim input tax credit of the tax charged by hotel? What kind of tax? I did not tell. Don't worry. If I tell you, first answer will be over. Hold on, come on. So friends, what is the whole example here? Shiva TEJA, who is basically a Telangana person, I went to Bengaluru on some official work. And in Bengaluru, I stayed in Taj Hotel. And Taj Hotel is a registered person in Karnataka. And the bill of the hotel worked out to 10,000 rupees. Now, first question what I am asking very clearly is that will the hotel charge CGST and SGST or will the hotel charge IGST? That's my question. Come on, friends. Obviously, your brain will start telling that, sir, since the Taj Hotel is in Karnataka, Shiva TEJA is in Telangana, what should be charged is IGST, sir. But let me tell you, that is your feelings and emotions. But one point is very clear that any answer is not driven by feelings and emotion, but it is driven only by concepts, that is sections and subsections and provisions. Your feelings and emotions are not important, but sections and subsections are very important. Who is concerned with your feelings and emotions? What we want is section, subsection, clause, subclause, provision. Correct, right? Now let me tell you what is the kind of tax will hotel charge. First fundamental point, let me clarify to you in this example that hotel will definitely charge CGST and SGST, my dear friends. Hotel will not charge IGST. Now you might get one doubt, sir, why like that? Why like that? Let me tell you, my dear friends, we have got a concept in IGST Act which says that if the location of supplier and the place of supply both are in same state, we call it as intra-state supply. And if location of supplier and place of supply both are in different state, we call it as interstate supply. Now in this context, my dear friends, who is the supplier, sir? Supplier is very clearly Taj Hotel. Who is the recipient? Recipient is Shiva TEJA. Now where is the recipient? That is not important. The important point is only LOS and POS. LOS stands for location of supplier and POS stands for place of supply. Now in this example, my dear friends, straight away, let me tell you, my dear friends, location of supplier is in Karnataka, obviously. And my dear friends, for this particular transaction, place of supply also will be Karnataka. Now you will get one doubt and ask me the question, sir, how do you know that place of supply is Karnataka for this? I've got a reason for that. So let me tell you, we have got one section called section 12(3) of IGST Act. IGST Act only. So place of supply, we are not going to touch CGST Act at all. It's completely IGST Act. In fact, section 12(3) of IGST Act clearly says one concept which says that in relation to immovable property, in relation to what, sir? Immovable property, place of supply for service in relation to immovable property, place of supply for service in relation to immovable property shall be the place where immovable property is located or intended to be located. Now if you see very clearly, hotel accommodation is basically a service in relation to immovable property. Now where is the immovable property located? That is in Karnataka. So automatically place of supply will be in Karnataka. And if you observe very clearly, location of supply and place of supply both are in Karnataka. Now when location of supplier, place of supply both are in Karnataka, we call it as intra-state supply. And for intra-state supply, what we will charge is CGST and SGST. I repeat one more time, friends. For intra-state supply, we charge CGST and SGST. And for interstate supply, we charge IGST, friends. Clear, right? It's getting clarity here. Now, I'll go back there. Don't worry. Sir, when I talk about interstate supply, other one, intrastate supply. Intrastate supply and also intrastate supply. And let me tell you, interstate supply concept is given by section 7 of IGST Act. Intrastate supply concept is given by section 8 of IGST Act. Now don't tell me, sir, section 7 is supply, right? Section 8 is composite supply and mixed supply, no sir. But let me tell you, that is CGST Act and we are talking about IGST Act. Don't confuse yourself. Clear, right? So what law told is that if location of supplier and place of supply, I repeat one more time, if location of supplier and place of supply are in different state or UT or state and UT. Clear, my dear friends? See that? Come on. If the location of supplier, if what's a location of supplier and place of supply are in different state or UT or state and UT, that means one is in state, one is in UT, but they are in different state and UT, then it is regarded as interstate supply. That is regarded as what, my dear friends? Interstate supply. Then, next point. Imports are also regarded as interstate supply. Imports are also regarded as interstate supply. And for information, why just import? It could be imports or exports. Imports or exports are regarded as interstate supply. That is the reason why we charge something called IGST. If you remember, I told you in the basics chapter that government has removed CVD, special CVD and all. Once upon a time we used to charge BCD, CVD, special CVD, all that was there. But from the time GST has come into picture, what we are charging on imports is only BCD plus IGST. BCD plus IGST. Good. Next. Another very interesting point is there, my dear friends. Supplies to or by a unit in SEZ. What is the language, my dear friends? Supplies to or by a unit in SEZ. Now what is SEZ? We all know that SEZ full form is Special Economic Zone. Now SEZ is one such place which is treated as if it is outside India. Now SEZ stands for Special Economic Zone, and SEZ is basically that area which is within India and it is treated as if it is outside India. For the purpose of tax, it is treated as if it is outside India, my dear friends. Getting clarity, sir? So friends, now if I go back to the story, in intrastate supply, obviously common sense point, if location of supplier and POS means place of supply, but let me write full, yeah? If the location of supplier and place of supply are in same state or UT. If the location of supplier, if what's a location of supplier and place of supply are in same state or UT, then it is regarded as intrastate supply. Friends, it is very important and of course utmost important to have a clarity of thought on difference between what is intrastate supply and what is intrastate supply, for a simple reason and fact that in case of intrastate supply we charge CGST and SGST, and for intrastate supply we charge IGST. So going back to the discussion, friends, in the example what I was discussing with you, what will the hotel charge, my dear friends? Hotel will charge CGST and SGST. Correct, right? And next line what did I ask? Next line what I asked very clearly is, can SHIVA TEJA claim input tax credit of the tax charged by hotel? 101% for that. Answer is No, my dear friends. Without any second thought, answer is no. Not because it is hotel accommodation. It is no because Shiva TEJA is a registered person in Telangana state and CGST, SGST is paid in Karnataka, my dear friends. Very, very interesting concept. Sir, to clarify you further, my dear friends, what law told is that a registered person in one state can claim input tax credit of CGST and SGST paid in same state. Come on friends, I repeat one more time. What is the language I wrote, sir? A registered person, a what person? A registered person in one state. A registered person in one state can claim input tax credit of the CGST, SGST paid in same state. And he can also claim input tax credit of IGST, my dear friends. Sir, what he can take credit is only a registered person in one state. One more time I repeat, sir. A registered person in one state can claim input tax credit of the CGST and SGST paid in the same state. That means, what is the concept? Listen very clearly, sir. Sir, Shiva TEJA is a registered person in which state, sir? Shiva TEJA is a registered person in Telangana state. Now, Shiva TEJA can take credit of CGST, SGST paid in Telangana, or Shiva TEJA can also take credit of IGST. But Shiva TEJA cannot take credit of CGST, SGST paid in another state. That is nothing but Bengaluru, Karnataka state. Getting clarity, friends? I repeat one more time, sir. A registered person in one state, can claim input tax credit of CGST and SGST paid in same state, and he can also claim input tax credit of IGST, but he cannot claim input tax credit of CGST, SGST paid in different state. So when Shiva TEJA has paid CGST, SGST in Karnataka, me being in Telangana, I cannot take credit of that CGST and SGST. Now I can't even request that Taj Hotel telling that, sir, since I am from Telangana, don't charge CGST, SGST, sir. Please kindly charge IGST so that I will happily claim input tax credit. Like that, if I tell, Taj Hotel will not listen, because from Taj Hotel's perspective, what is the location of supply? That is in Karnataka. What is the place of supply, my dear friends? Karnataka. Now when the location of supplier is in Karnataka, place of supply also is in Karnataka, what Taj Hotel will charge is obviously CGST and SGST. Just because I am from Telangana and I keep on requesting Taj Hotel will not charge IGST for me. If Taj Hotel will charge IGST, I can take credit, but Taj Hotel will not do that. You might ask, why, sir? Why? Because ultimately, my dear friends, whether it is what kind of tax to be charged will depends upon type of supply, whether it is intrastate supply or interstate supply. And intrastate supply or interstate supply will depend upon location of supplier and place of supply. And from Taj Hotel point of view, where is the location of supplier? Karnataka. And where is the place of supply? Karnataka. When both are in Karnataka, what Taj Hotel will charge is obviously CGST and SGST, and I cannot take credit. And for information, my dear friends, we have got one chapter called Demands and Recovery. When I go there, I'll teach you in detail, but let me clarify you one point here. Sir, if any person pays CGST and SGST instead of IGST, or if a person pays IGST instead of CGST and SGST, that means he paid tax, but he paid wrong tax, then law told section 77 clearly says, in case of tax wrongfully collected and paid, please pay the correct tax to the government and then apply for refund of tax wrongfully paid. That means if Taj Hotel will charge IGST, if government catches Taj Hotel tomorrow, then they'll tell Taj Hotel first to pay CGST, SGST to the government, and then if you want, take refund of that IGST part. But first, right now, please pay IGST. They'll do that. And why all that is happening? Because let me tell you an interesting point, my dear friends. The interesting point is that, listen, it is the utmost responsibility. It is the utmost responsibility of supplier to determine. It is what, my dear friends? Utmost responsibility of the supplier to determine place of supply. Obviously, for a simple reason and fact, because he is liable to pay GST, so he should only determine place of supply and then decide what kind of tax to be charged. So friends, by this example, I am sure you got a clarity on the right side points what I wrote very clearly. The first point what I wrote, my dear friends, place of supply is an integral element to determine type of supply. Next line what I wrote, type of supply is an integral element to determine type of tax. Because it's intra-state supply, we charge CGST, SGST. Intra-state supply, we will charge IGST. And last point what I wrote is that type of tax, type of what's a tax? Type of tax will have an impact on availability of input tax credit. So based on what kind of tax is being charged, it depends whether input tax credit will be available or not. Because a registered person in one state can take input tax credit of CGST, SGST paid in same state, and he can also take credit of IGST. But he cannot take credit of CGST, SGST paid in different state. That is why practically a lot of people play a lot of games in relation to place of supply, so that they'll convert a CGST, SGST transaction into an IGST transaction. I repeat one more time. Practically, people are playing so many games to convert a CGST, SGST transaction into an IGST transaction so that they can happily avail and enjoy input tax credits. But government will not keep quiet. Clear? I'm sure we got full clarity on all these points. So before I proceed further, I want you to take these points first so that next points what I'll teach you will be easy to understand. Write down first. Put the heading, place of supply, and it is clearly dealt by IGST Act. And divide that supply into two types, intrastate, interstate. Please write, come on, please write. And intrastate we will charge CGST and SGST, and for interstate we will charge IGST. And the box what I wrote is very important. It is the utmost responsibility of the supplier to determine place of supply. In fact, I'll teach you one chapter called tax, concept of tax invoice, credit note and debit note. In the chapter of tax invoice, I'll show you very clearly that in invoice, in case of interstate supply, it is mandatory that you have to show place of supply. And even when I teach you GST returns chapter, there also I'll show you that in returns, there is a column for place of supply. Because place of supply will determine to which state money will go. To which state money will go. Because we all know the fact that GST is a destination based consumption tax. GST is what tax? Destination based consumption tax. So it is very vital and important to correctly determine place of supply. Sir, not just about marks. It's very practical, very important. Sir, everything is not just for marks, my dear friends. We are CA final. Very soon we are going to qualify and be called as chartered accountants. And when we are being called as chartered accountant, it's not just about marks. It's about the knowledge and the conceptual clarity what you have got on the subject, which will make a difference. Clear? Finish writing? Done. I'm sure you wrote the 3 points. POS is integral element to determine type of supply. Type of supply is integral to determine type of tax. And type of tax, of course, is very important and will have an impact on availability of input tax credit. Done. Take it, come on. Take this wonderful example. of Shiva TEJA going to Bangalore and staying in Taj Hotel for some official work. I'll give you 2 minutes time. Please write comfortably and happily. But very, very wonderful example, which makes a lot of sense, my dear friends. Very wonderful. So I asked you 2 questions there. First question was, what kind of tax hotel will charge? Second question was very clearly, can Shiva TEJA, that is the recipient, can he take input tax credit or the tax charged by hotel? And my answer was no, because Taj Hotel charge CGST and SGST. And Shiva TEJA being registered person in Telangana, he cannot take credit of CGST, SGST paid in Karnataka. That is the concept there. Writing, come on. Please take the example, friends. Very interesting example, which gives you great clarity on the concept actually. No doubt about it. Done? Can I proceed and move forward, sir? Okay, let me proceed. So friends, below I wrote 2 differences. This not to be written. Wait, hold on. Some more concept I have to teach you. So hold. So friends, I wrote 2 types of supply called intrastate supply and intrastate supply. Intrastate supply is given by section 7 and intrastate supply is given by section 8. And when do we call a supply as interstate supply? If the location of supply and place of supply are in different state or UT, or state and UT, then it is regarded as intrastate supply. And moreover, extra point what I told is there is imports or exports are regarded as intrastate supply. Next one, supplies to or by unit in SEZ. Sir, SEZ is nothing but special economic zone. That is something, some areas which are there in India, but they are notified by the government and they are treated as if they are outside India. SEZ are those places which are basically in India and they are treated as if they are outside India, my dear friends, for tax purposes. Clear? And in fact, practically, my dear friends, in exam also important, which I'll teach you soon, that is, these exports or supplies to SEZ, they are technically regarded as zero rated supplies. Now, what is the impact of zero rated supplies? We will talk in detail when I go to the chapter called input tax credit. Don't worry. Next. Hold, don't write, wait. Next, my dear friends, supply of goods to a tourist. One very special point is there, my dear friends. What is the special point? Come on. The special point is very clearly supply of goods to what, my dear friends? Tourist. Such a brilliant language they used. Supply of what only? Only goods to a tourist. That is also regarded as interstate supply. Now, big question is, how do we know that a person is a tourist? And first of all, who is a tourist? Let me explain that to you very clearly, friends. Tourist means any person. Tourist means any person not normally resident in India. Come on, friends, I repeat one more time. Tourist means any person. Tourist means any person not normally resident in India, but who comes to India for a stay of not more than 6 months. Tourist means somebody who is coming for a tour, could be for a business tour or could be for personal tour or could be for vacation. Tourist means any person not normally resident in India but comes to India for a stay of not more than 6 months. For legitimate, legitimate means legal. For legitimate, I repeat one more time, for legitimate non-immigrant purpose. For legitimate non-immigrant purpose. Come on friends, I repeat one more time. Tourist means any person. Tourist means what, my dear friends? Tourist basically means any person not normally resident in India but who comes to India for a stay of not more than 6 months. For legitimate non-immigrant purpose. Non-immigrant means he is not coming to India for a purpose of shifting. He came to India only for a tour. Now listen. Let's say there is one person called Mr. Ping Pong. And Ping Pong is basically from Japan. I repeat one more time, friends. There is a person called Mr. Ping Pong, and Ping Pong is basically from Japan. And now this person called Ping Pong, he came to India for a tour of 15 days. He came to India for a tour of 15 days. So Ping Pong, he is technically called as a tourist. Correct or not? Now incidentally what has happened? Ping Pong entered into the shop of Mr. There is one person called Mr. Prabhas. Somebody whom everybody knows. The Bahubali. Yeah? Now see, Mr. Prabhas is basically a registered person in Maharashtra. Only an example, friends. And he is a toy dealer. Example, no emotions, no excitement, only example. So Prabhas is a registered person in Maharashtra who is a toy dealer. Now Ping Pong, Prabhas has basically got one shop in Mumbai. Now Ping Pong came to shop of Prabhas and he has taken one, what my dear friends, toy from Prabhas shop. So basically what Prabhas is doing, Prabhas is making a supply of goods to a tourist. Prabhas is making a supply of goods to tourist. In that case, my dear friends, Prabhas should not charge CGST and SGST, but Prabhas should definitely charge something called IGST, my dear friends. Because whenever there is a supply of goods to a tourist, as per GST law, it is regarded as interstate supply. Now one big question, what is rotating in your brain, I know very clearly. Sir, how will Prabhas get to know that Ping Pong is a tourist? I will tell you. That is because Ping Pong will tell Prabhas that is a tourist. Now you will get one more doubt. Sir, why will Ping Pong tell he is a tourist? That is because, let me tell you my dear friends, whenever a tourist is coming to India, now what is happening is that, practical point I will tell you, whenever a tourist is coming to India, what government of India is doing is, when the flight is about to land India, or after the flight has landed India, they are clearly giving instruction to the tourist, saying that, my dear tourist, my dear foreigners who has come to India for a tour, if you buy any goods in India, kindly inform the supplier that you are a tourist and tell them to charge IGST. And while returning back to your foreign country, in the airport or in the seaport, we have got one counter called GST refund counter. Come to the GST refund counter, show us the goods, and show us the bill, then we will give you the refund of the tax what you paid. Provided you show the goods and show the bill and take the goods out of India, we will give you refund of the tax what you paid. Like that, government is clearly giving instructions to this tourist when they are coming into India. Now you will get next doubt now. Sir, why is government giving a refund like this? Sir, one point my dear friends. In India, government actively encourages exports and actively discourages imports. That is a proven fact, no doubt about it, because the more exports you do, the more foreign currency will come into India. and the more better India's shape will become. Correct or not? So in this context, the interesting point what I will tell you is that indirectly if you observe here, goods are being exported out of India. Sir, Prabhas sitting in India, if he is sending one good outside India, Prabhas sitting in India, if he is sending one good outside India, what do we call it? Exports. Correct or not? Now in this case, what is happening? Ping Pong of Japan, he is coming to India, buying some goods and taking that goods outside India. Ping Pong of Japan, he is coming from Japan to India, purchase some goods in India and taking that goods outside India. That is also clearly like a export. So government wants to give benefit. Clear, my dear friends? And this benefit is only for goods. Sir, supply of goods to a tourist is regarded as interstate supply. If it is service, then no, it is not interstate supply. Don't think like that. Come on. So to clarify further, one line I'll write below to clarify this point. As per section 15, now I know you will tell value of supply. No, as per section 15 of IGST Act, sir, in place of supply chapter, we are not going to talk about CGST Act. We are going to talk only about IGST Act. As per section 15 of IGST Act, come on, IGST paid by tourist, IGST paid by tourist on goods taken out of India. Very, very interesting point. As per which section, my dear friends? As per section 15 of IGST Act. As per section 15 of IGST Act, IGST paid by tourist on goods taken out of India shall be refunded, my dear friends. Such a brilliant point they put in the law, my dear friends. Come on. What is a brilliant concept, my dear friends? As per which section, sir? As per section 15. One more time I repeat. As per section 15 of IGST Act. Section 15 of IGST Act. IGST paid by tourist on goods taken where? That is important. On goods taken out of India shall be refunded. So whatever goods are being taken out of India, that is only refunded. Clear, right? So that is why, my dear friends, whenever tourists are coming into India, to the foreign tourist, government is clearly telling that whenever you go to any shop and buy some goods, not service, buy some goods, tell them that you are a tourist and tell them to charge IGST, so that when you go back to your country, in airport we have got a counter called GST refund counter. Come to that counter, show the goods, show the bill or invoice, and then we'll give you refund of IGST what you paid. Because we are extremely happy that you are a foreigner, you came to India and taking that goods outside India, which is very clearly treated as export. That is why, my dear friends, in the law they clearly told that supply of goods to a tourist is clearly regarded as interstate supply. Clear, friends? So with this discussion, I am sure we got a great amount of clarity of thought on what is difference between intrastate supply and intrastate supply. Intrastate supply is dealt by section 7 of IGST Act and intrastate supply is dealt by section 8 of IGST Act. So both are in IGST Act only. Please don't apply CGST at all. Section 7 of CGST Act is supply. Section 8 of CGST Act is composite supply and mixed supply. Don't confuse yourself. That is CGST Act and this is IGST Act. Please have that clarity of thought. And now write down. Write down, please. Just to add one line here. Exports and supplies to SEZ are regarded as zero rated supply, my dear friends. In fact, sir, to give you clarity of thought, there is one big difference between zero rated supply and exempted supply. And the big difference is very clearly that in case of zero rated supply, we do not pay output tax, but input tax credit is allowed. In case of zero rated supply, we don't pay output tax, but input tax credit is allowed. But in case of exempted supply, exempted supply, we do not pay output tax and input tax credit is not allowed. So if output is exempted, then input tax credit is not allowed. But if output is zero rated, input tax credit is allowed. And what is covered in zero rated is only exports and supplies to SEZ. We will talk in detail about them when I go to the chapter called input tax credit. There will do lot of discussion about what is the tax treatment for input tax credit. Don't worry. Clear, right? Come on, please take this. Write down, please. Come on, please take these points. Please write difference between section 7 and section 8. And one is intrastate supply, other is intra-state supply. And when do we call supply as intra-state supply? If the location of supplier and place of supply. We are not looking at location of recipient. Don't ever think that supplier is in one state, receiver is in another state. Don't tell that nonsense language. The language is very clear. Location of supplier and place of supply. If both are in same state or UT, then it is regarded as intra-state supply. Take it, come on. Very interesting and important. Clear? Finish writing? Can I scroll it then? Okay. And please write that point which is there in the box also. That is exports and supplies to SEZ are regarded as zero rated supplies. What supplies? Zero rated supplies. Very interesting. Done. Next, please write the story of tourist. What is the tax treatment for tourist? Please write down. Very important. Sir, place of supply will take some time. There are a lot of interesting sections in place of supply and so many subsections also are there. So it will take some time. I want your utmost cooperation. So please, kindly please cooperate. I'll spend some very good time on place of supply because of two reasons. Obviously, one very clearly that it will come in the exam for good number of marks, and reason number two is very clear that it's very practical. Come on, write the point very clearly. Take the example of ping pong and also Prabhas. Prabhas is supplier, ping pong is recipient. And there is only example that Prabhas is a toy dealer. Don't worry. We know who is Prabhas. Yeah? Yeah. And below box also you take it. As per section 15 of IGST Act, IGST paid by tourist on goods taken out of India shall be refunded. Clear? Should I proceed? Okay, let me proceed. Come on. So friends, now my dear friends, let me talk about section 9 of IGST Act. Very interesting section actually. Pretty simple but very interesting, which clearly says that if location of supplier or place of supply, I repeat one more time, if the location of supplier or place of supply. If what, my dear friends? If location of supplier or place of supply is in territorial waters. Come on friends, very interesting language. If the location of supplier or place of supply is in territorial waters. Come on friends, what is territorial waters, sir? If you remember, I already taught you that India includes what, my dear friends? India covers territory. Section 256, India. I taught you the definition. 256, India. India covers territory, territorial waters, continental shelf, exclusive economic zone, seabed, soil underlying such water, and airspace above territory and territorial waters. And territorial waters clearly means up to 12 nautical miles. That means that is also a part of India. Correct, right? But one important point what they told by this section is that if the location of supplier or the place of supply is in territorial waters, then such LOS or POS, LOS means location of supplier, POS means place of supply, is treated as if it is in state or UT, that too as if it is in coastal state or UT, as if it is in what, my dear friends? Coastal state or UT, where the nearest point of appropriate baseline, is located. Come on, my dear friends, very interesting language. See that words, come on. If the location of supplier, if what's a location of supplier or place of supply is in what waters? Territorial waters, then such location of supplier or place of supply is treated as if it is in coastal state or UT, where the nearest point of appropriate baseline is located. For example, Maharashtra is a coastal state, Tamil Nadu is a coastal state, Goa is a coastal state, Andhra Pradesh is a coastal state, but you can't tell Telangana is coastal state. Not possible. Coastal states, correct, right? So now this language is not new. This language I taught you already in the chapter called registration, where I clearly told you that if a person is engaged in making supplies in territorial waters, he should obtain registration in the coastal state or UT, where the nearest point of appropriate baseline is located. So whichever state is most close, that state will be considered. Nearest point of appropriate baseline is located, and baseline is nothing but the line where the land is over and the water begins. That is called as baseline. Clear, right? Very good. Come on, write down. Very simple and important concepts. Section 9 of IGST Act. Please take it. Please write. Come on, don't relax. The place of supplier or location of supplier or place of supply is in territorial waters, then such location of supplier or place of supply is treated as if it is in coastal state or UT, as if it is where, sir? Coastal state or UT, where the nearest point of appropriate baseline is located. Where the nearest point of what, my dear friends? Appropriate baseline is located. That is the beauty here, my dear friends. Clear? Makes sense, sir? Very good. Come on, write down. Can I proceed? Done. So friends, story is not yet over. Tell me, my dear friends, what is section 7? IGST Act. I know you are shouting supply. Hold on. I am talking about IGST Act. Section 7 is interstate supply. Section 8 is intra-state supply. IGST Act. Please. Section 9, supplies in territorial waters. Got full clarity, friends? Now, sir, the most important concept is that we have got 4 sections which deals with the concept of place of supply. Now what are those sections? First, section 10 deals with place of supply in case of goods. Section 10 talks about what's the place of supply in case of goods. Then section 11 talks about place of supply in case of goods imported or exported. So friends, section 10 talks about generally what is place of supply for goods, and 11 talks about place of supply in case of goods which are imported or exported. Then section 12 talks about place of supply in case of services, where place of supply in case of services where location of supplier and location of recipient is in India. Come on, my dear friends, I repeat one more time very clearly. Section 10 talks about place of supply in case of goods. 11 talks about place of supply in case of goods imported or exported. Then 12 talks about place of supply in case of services. Place of supply in case of services where the location of supplier and location of recipient both are in India. Correct, my dear friends? Then finally, one last section also we'll talk in place of supply, that is section 13. Now don't think that there are only 4 sections. In section 12, we have got 12.1 to 12.14. 14 subsections are there. In 13, we have got 13.1 to 13.13. 13 subsections are there. And in section 10, again we have got 10.1, 10.2. And in 10.1 again we have got 10.1a, 10.1b, 10.1c, 10.1d, 10.1e. Sir, joke or what? 8 marks came in exam. Don't underestimate. That is why I told place of supply will take time. If it is only 4 sections, why it will take that much time? In that 4, so many subsections are there. That is why it will take time. Section 13 talks about place of supply. Section 13 talks about place of supply in case of services, where place of supply in case of services where location of supplier or location of recipient is outside India. So friends, if you observe very clearly the difference between the points what I wrote carefully there, section 10 talks about what, my dear friends? Section 10 deals with the concept of place of supply in case of goods. Very good. 11 also is for place of supply in case of goods only, but 11 is for place of supply in case of goods imported or exported. And 12 talks about place of supply in case of services where the location of supplier and the location of recipient. I'll highlight that word called and. Place of supply of services where location of supplier and location of recipient both are in India. And section 13 applies in case where place of supply in case of services, place of supply in case of services where location of supplier or location of recipient is outside India. So one of them is outside India. Then we'll apply section 13. If both are in India, we'll apply section 12. And generally for goods, section 10, and for goods imported or exported, it is section 12. Section 11. Getting clarity, friends? So 10 is for goods, 11 is for goods imported or exported, 12 is for services when supplier recipient both are in India, and 13 is for services only but when supplier or recipient is outside India. Clear, right? Come on, write this. Very, very important. Write down. Write down, sir. Extremely important. Please write down. Don't relax. I gave you time to write. These are the 4 points in relation to place of supply. And these 4 subsections we need to talk in detail along with various subsections, which we'll start doing now. Come on, finish off writing, then I'll start the discussion. Section 10, place of supply in case of goods. 11, place of supply in case of goods imported or exported. 12, place of supply in case of services where location of supplier and location of recipient both are in India. And 13, place of supply for services where location of supplier or location of recipient, one of them is outside India. Both are in India, then 12 will come. One of them outside India, 13 will come. Very, very important. Please keep that in mind, because based on that only my answers will completely change. Clear? Come on, take it. Then I'll start. Write down, my dear friends, important concepts. Can I proceed? Okay, let me proceed. So, my dear friends, first of all, section 10 deals with POS. Sir, henceforth I'll start using POS, and POS basically means obviously your place of supply. Section 10 deals with place of supply in case of goods. And let me tell you, my dear friends, that section 10 is divided into 10.1 and 10.2. And 10.2 has got, 10.1 has got further classification of 10.1a, 10.1b, 10.1c, 10.1d, and also 10.1e, my dear friends. So I repeat one more time, my dear friends. Section 10.1. So which section, sir? Section 10.1 has got 5 clauses again, that is 10.1a, 10.1b, 10.1c, 10.1d, 10.1e, which we'll talk in detail. And 10.1a talks about place of supply in case where there is movement of goods. Sir, we'll talk in detail. This is only a top line. Only top line. Headings I am giving. Details we'll talk. 10.1b talks about something called build to ship to model. What model, my dear friends? Build to ship to model. Very interesting and important. Then 10.1c talks about place of supply in case where there is no movement of goods. 10.1c is what, my dear friends? No movement of goods. 10.1d talks about goods assembled or installed. 10.1a is what, sir? When there is movement of goods. 10.1b is build to ship to model. 10.1c is no movement of goods. And 10.1d is goods assembled or installed. Finally, 10.1e talks about goods supplied on board a conveyance, Goods supplied what, my dear friends? On board a conveyance. That means when you are going in the train or when you are going in the flight, or let's say you are going by bus, when you are in the journey on board, you might buy some goods. Possible, right? For that goods, what is place of supply? That's what we'll talk. For example, when we are going in flight, sometimes if we start feeling hungry, we might buy some items. We might buy some goods. Correct, right? Or when we are going in train or we are going in bus, during the course of journey, we might buy some goods. For that, how to determine place of supply? So this is what is dealt by 10(1)(e), my dear friends. So to clarify once again, friends, section 10 talks about place of supply in case of goods, and 10 is divided into 10(1) and 10(2). And 10(1) I just wrote headings. Now every point we'll talk in detail. Every point we'll talk in detail. 10(1)(a) talks about place of supply in case where there is movement of goods. 10(1)(b) talks about build to ship to model. 10(1)(c) talks about when there is no movement of goods. 10(1)(d) is goods assembled or installed. 10(1)(e) talks about goods supplied on board a conveyance. Goods supplied how, sir? On board a conveyance. Then 10(2) says if POS cannot be determined, if POS, what, my dear friends, cannot be determined under section 10(1), if POS cannot be determined, under section 10(1), then it is determined in such manner as may be prescribed. That's all. Very interesting point. So getting clarity, friends? Come on. 10(2) clearly says, in that nothing is there, but in future government will use 10(2). What 10(2) they told? If place of supply cannot be determined under section 10(1), then it is determined in such manner as may be prescribed. That means very clearly they'll prescribe. And how they'll prescribe is generally they'll prescribe by way of rules. They'll give rules how to determine place of supply. That means by applying 10(1), if you are unable to determine place of supply, then government will prescribe the rules. Don't worry. So this point they put in the law so that in future, if any conflict arises as to how to determine place of supply, then they'll make use of this power given by 10(2), which clearly says that if place of supply cannot be determined under section 10(1), then it is determined in such manner as may be prescribed. And prescribed is always done by rules only, my dear friends. Clear, right? Come on, take this table once. Then I will talk in detail about what is 10(1)(a), 10(1)(b), 10(1)(c), 10(1)(d), 10(1)(e). All that I will talk in detail. Come on, first take this table. Very interesting and important. Please write down. Take that table, my dear friends. Very wonderful concept. Write down, guys. Write down. Please do write. Sir, why I always keep saying you to write? Because in the class, during the course of discussion, when you are watching my lecture and at the same time you keep on writing, you become more master and more perfect. If you just keep listening and watching, what will come, my dear friends? If you also keep writing, then it makes more sense. You become more master in subject without any second thought. Clear, right? So please do write. Makes a lot of sense. So please write. So in 10(1), how many clauses are there? 10(1)(a) to 10(1)(e), 5 points we need to talk. And 10(2) clearly says if POS cannot be determined in a 10(1), then it is determined in such manner as may be prescribed. And generally they'll prescribe always by way of rules. Finished? If you finish writing, I'll proceed. So what is section 10, my dear friends? 10 talks about place of supply in case of goods. 11 also for goods only, but for goods imported or exported. Clear? Come on, let's move forward. Next point. So friends, come on, let's start discussion about section 10.1. So in 10.1 we have got, as I clearly told, 10.1a, 10.1b, 10.1c, 10.1d and 10.1e. Some good points are there in the context of 10.1. So we'll spend some good time and become perfect. Come on, my dear friends, get ready. So first discussion. Let me talk about section 10.1a, my dear friends. Section 10.1a comes into picture, which clearly says that place of supply in case where there is movement of goods. That means there is a movement of goods from one place to another place. There is basically a movement of goods. Law clearly told that POS, that is place of supply, in case where there is movement of goods, shall be the place where movement of goods terminates. Place where movement of goods, what my dear friends? Terminates for delivery to the recipient. Come on friends, very, very interesting language. Come on, what is that language? Please see there. Place of supply in case where there is, what my dear friends? Movement of goods shall be the place where movement of goods terminates. Terminates means what? Stops for delivery to the recipient. Delivery to whom, my dear friends? Recipient. So in simple words, my dear friends, if Mr. X, who is let's say in Mumbai, Maharashtra, has sent goods to Mr. Y, who is in Pune, Maharashtra, place of supply will straight away become what, my dear friends? Maharashtra. No doubt about it. Correct or not? Other side, my dear friends, if I look at example 2, my dear friends, Mr. A, who is in Maharashtra, this person, Mr. A, he has sent goods. This person, Mr. A, he has sent goods to Mr. B. Mr. A of Maharashtra has sent goods to whom, my dear friends? Mr. B. And Mr. B is, let's say, in Karnataka. Come on, my dear friends, speak out. What will become place of supply? Place of supply will become Karnataka. Why? Obviously, for a simple fact and reason that place of supply will be the place where movement of goods, what my dear friends? Movement of goods terminates for delivery to the recipient. Terminates means stops. Now we observe very clearly in this case, in second example, when A of Maharashtra is sending goods to B of Karnataka, where is the movement of goods terminating, my dear friends? It is terminating in Karnataka. So place of supply will be Karnataka. Very simple answer. Clear, right? And here if you observe in second example, my dear friends, to give you clarity of thought, where is the location of supplier? Maharashtra. And where is place of supply? Karnataka. So what will be charged, my dear friends? IGST would be levied. No doubt about it. Because if location of supplier and place of supply both are in different state, then we'll definitely charge IGST. But if location of supplier and place of supply both are in same state, we will charge something called CGST and SGST. Very powerful concept, my dear friends. But to clarify, there is 1-2 interesting points which I have to tell you here. Section 10.1.8 talks about place of supply in case where there is movement of goods. Shall be the place where movement of goods terminates. Terminates means what? Stops. Terminates for delivery to the recipient. And an interesting point to clarify, my dear friends. Movement of goods. Let me write in the bottom. It will be more comfortable. movement of goods can be either by supplier, either by whom sir? Supplier or recipient. Now why did I use this word? Movement of goods can be by supplier or recipient, because there is a possibility where supplier is sending goods to recipient. That is one situation. Second possibility also is there. Recipient is coming to supplier's place and taking the goods. Possible, right? Recipient is coming to supplier's place and taking the goods. So movement of goods can be either by supplier or recipient or any third person. Friends, come on. Very, very interesting language, friends. Come on. What is the language, sir? Movement of goods can be either by supplier. Friends, let me repeat one more time. Movement of goods can be either by supplier or by recipient or by any third person. Such a fantastic concept, my dear friends. Which section, by the way? Section 10(1)(a), which deals with the concept of place of supply in case where there is movement of goods, where law clearly clarified that place of supply will be the place where movement of goods, what my dear friends? Movement of goods terminates. Terminates means what? Stops for delivery to the recipient. And that movement of goods can be made either by supplier or by recipient or by third person. That is because that point basically means that there is a possibility where supplier is sending goods to the recipient, or second possibility is where recipient is going to supplier's place and taking the goods. The third possibility is that movement can be by third person also. Example, through a transporter. Highly possible, my dear friends. Come on, write down this point. Which section of this? Section 10(1)(a). Please take it. Place of supply in case where there is movement of goods shall be the place where movement of goods terminates for a delivery to the recipient, and the movement can be done either by supplier or by recipient or by a third person. Such a fantastic point, friends. Very, very interesting and of course very important. No doubt about it. Read on, come on. Take both the examples. And in first example, place of supply is Maharashtra because movement of goods is terminating in Maharashtra. Second example, place of supply is Karnataka because movement of goods is terminating in Karnataka. Such a brilliant concept actually. Come on, finish writing. Take it, come on, please do write. Very interesting and important. No doubt about it. Finished, done. Can I proceed? Done. Let me proceed, my dear friends. Next discussion. Let me talk about something interesting now. And of course, very, very, very important discussion. Section 10(1)(b), my dear friends. Extremely important. Kindly please concentrate. Listen. Sir, let's say there is one person called Mr. Prabhas. Come on, please concentrate. So friends, let's say there is one person called Mr. Prabhas, and Prabhas is basically a registered person. Prabhas is basically a registered person in Karnataka. Where is Prabhas registered, my dear friends? He is a registered person in Karnataka. And let's say there is one person called Mr. Bahubali, who is a registered person in Maharashtra. Who is a registered person there, my dear friends? Maharashtra. And now there is one person called Mr. Kattappa, and this person called Mr. Kattappa, he is in Goa. He is basically where, my dear friends? Goa. An interesting fact is that Kattappa is the job worker for Prabhas. Sir, I am sure we all know who is a job worker. Job worker is somebody to whom we give the materials and ask him to manufacture finished goods, and after manufacturing, the job worker will return the finished goods to the principal. And we all know that goods sent by principal to agent is supply because of 7(1)(c) read with schedule 1. But goods sent by principal to job worker is not regarded as supply, because law always told principal to agent is supply under section 7(1)(c) read with schedule 1, but they never told principal to job worker is supply. Correct, right? I told this point to you, sir, already. Now listen. Now what has happened is that Prabhas basically contacted Bahubali and ordered some raw materials. So Prabhas of Karnataka contacted whom, my dear friends? Mr. Bahubali, who is in Maharashtra, and ordered certain raw materials. Strictly speaking, who is supplier? Bahubali. Who is recipient? Prabhas. But the point what Prabhas thought, if I order raw material, Bahubali will send it to me, and again I should send that raw material to Kattappa, who is in Goa, and get the finished goods manufactured. Why to waste time and why to increase travel cost? Prabhas told Bahubali, otherwise Prabhas instructed Bahubali to send the goods directly to Kattappa. To send goods directly to Kattappa. To send goods directly to whom, my dear friends? Kattappa. Now straight question what I'll ask you is, does Kattappa know who is Bahubali? 100% answer is no. Kattappa doesn't know who is Bahubali, but Kattappa has got the goods from Bahubali because Prabhas told Bahubali to send the goods to Kattappa. So strictly speaking, there is no direct relationship between Kattappa and Bahubali. The relationship is only between Prabhas and Bahubali. Correct or not? Exactly. So my dear friends, let me ask you one straight question. Bahubali will raise invoice on whom, my dear friends? That's my first question. Bahubali will raise invoice on whom? Obviously, without any second thought, Bahubali will raise invoice on Prabhas. Why? Obviously, for a simple reason and fact that goods are ordered by Mr. Prabhas. Correct or not? So Bahubali will raise invoice on Prabhas. Next. Bahubali has sent goods to whom, my dear friends? Come on, please reply. Bahubali has sent goods to Kattappa. That is because Prabhas told Bahubali. That is because Prabhas told Bahubali to send the goods to Kattappa. Correct or not, my dear friends? Now, interesting language is that we are talking about section 10(1)(b), which clearly says that goods are supplied by supplier to the recipient. Goods are supplied by supplier to the recipient on the instructions of a third person. Goods are supplied by supplier to the recipient on the instructions of a third person. Come on, my dear friends. So if I go back to the concept now, please see very clearly here. Bahubali will raise invoice on whom? Bahubali will clearly raise invoice on Prabhas. But Prabhas instructed Bahubali that don't send the goods to Karnataka, kindly send the goods to Goa. So what is happening now? That is why, my dear friends, this concept is technically called as bill to ship to model. I repeat one more time, my dear friends. This concept is technically called as what model, my dear friends? Bill to ship to model. Now, why it is called bill to ship to model? Sir, you please understand. Please see from the perspective of Bahubali. Now if you look at from the perspective of Bahubali, I repeat one more time, if you look at from the perspective of Bahubali, goods are billed to whom? Goods are billed to Prabhas and shipped where? Shipped means where they are sent. They are shipped to where? Shipped to Goa. Goods are billed to Prabhas and shipped to Goa. I mean, goods are billed to Prabhas and they are shipped to Kattappa. That is why it is called as bill to ship to model. Clear, right? And generally, let me tell you, always in case of bill to ship to model, there are three people involved. And what I wrote clearly is that as per 10(1)(b), if the goods are supplied by, supplier to the recipient on the instructions of a third person. Now, who gave instructions to whom? Prabhas instructed Bahubali to send the goods to Kattappa. So, when the goods are supplied by supplier to the recipient on the instructions of the third person, then they clearly told that POS would be, I repeat one more time, my dear friends, then they clearly told that POS would be principal place of business. POS would be principal place of business of such third person. Come on, my dear friends. POS would be principal place of business of such third person. So in this example, my dear friends, let me tell you very clearly that even though goods are sent from Maharashtra to Goa, place of supply in this example will be Karnataka, because law clearly told that if the goods are sent by supplier to the recipient on the instructions of third person, then place of supply would be, principal place of business of such third person, and this is technically called as what model, my dear friends? Bill to ship to model. Clear, right? Come on, my dear friends. Very, very interesting concept, sir. Getting clarity? Now I'll give you one more example. Please listen. Now let's say for a second, example 2, sir. Kindly please listen. Sir, there is one person called Mr. Prakash, who is basically from Bengaluru, but he got a job in Mumbai. So, Prakash moved to Mumbai and his parents are in Bengaluru only. Come on, my dear friends. Very practical point and common point. So what has happened here, my dear friends? Prakash basically from where, my dear friends? I repeat one more time. Prakash is basically from where, sir? Prakash is basically from Bengaluru. And what has happened? He got a job in where, my dear friends? He basically got a job in where? He got a job in Mumbai. And he moved to Mumbai and his parents are in Bengaluru only. Prakash basically from Bengaluru. He got a job in Mumbai. So Prakash moved to Mumbai and parents are in Bengaluru only. Right? Now listen. Very clearly listen, my dear friends. Now Prakash is where presently doing job. Prakash is presently in Mumbai, doing job in Mumbai. Now what has happened? Prakash opened Amazon app. Prakash opened what, my dear friends? Amazon app. And he ordered a mobile and instructed Amazon to delivery at Bengaluru to parents. Delivery to Bengaluru. Bengaluru to what? Delivery to what, my dear friends? Bengaluru for parents. So what Prakash has done, my dear friends? He opened an app called Amazon, ordered one cell phone and told them that delivery address, he gave it as Bengaluru. Correct, right? Sir, we all know that whenever we open apps like Amazon, Flipkart, we find something called billing address, delivery address. Correct, my dear friends? So this is technically called as build to ship to model, because the bill is raised on Prakash and the goods are shipped to Bengaluru. Bill is raised on Prakash and the goods are shipped to Bengaluru. Now my dear friends, in this particular example, what will become place of supply, guys? Place of supply will be Mumbai, Maharashtra, because law clearly told that as per section 10(1)(b), if the goods are supplied by supplier to the recipient on the instructions of a third person, on what, my dear friends? Instructions of a third person, then place of supply would be principal place of business of such third person. Principal place of business of what, my dear friends? Principal place of business of such third person. Such a fantastic point, my dear friends. Getting clarity, sir? I repeat one more time. Section 10(1)(b) deals with the concept of place of supply for build to ship to model, which clearly says that if the goods are supplied by supplier to the recipient on the instructions of a third person, then place of supply will be principal place of business of such third person. Very, very important concept, my dear friends. Clear, right? Come on, I'll not end the story here. I'll give one more third example also. Listen. Example number 3 and the last example for 10(1)(b). But this will be a crazy example. Please concentrate. Listen. So let's say there is one person called Mr. Rahul. And Rahul is basically a registered person in Rajasthan, who is a dealer in chocolates. Rahul, registered person in Rajasthan, who is a dealer in chocolates, my dear friends. Now, there is one person called Mr. Gandhi. He is a registered person in Maharashtra and he is also a dealer in chocolates. He is also a dealer in chocolates. Then there is one person called Mr. Amit. Who is there, my dear friends? Mr. Amit. Amit is basically also a registered person in New Delhi. Amit is basically a registered person where, my dear friends? In New Delhi, and he is also one top dealer in chocolates. So, my dear friends, if you observe very clearly, all of them are dealers in chocolates only. Clear, right? All of them are dealers in chocolates only. And Rahul is in Rajasthan, Mr. Gandhi is in Maharashtra, and Mr. Amit is in where, my dear friends? New Delhi. Now, first step, what has happened here is that Gandhi contacted Rahul. I repeat one more time. Gandhi contacted Rahul and ordered 10,000 chocolates. Ordered what, my dear friends? 10,000 chocolates. So first, who contacted whom, my dear friends? First, Gandhi contacted Rahul and ordered for 10,000 chocolates. But Rahul is not having enough stock with him. So what Rahul has done basically is something like this. Rahul directly contacted Amit and ordered 10,000 chocolates and instructed Amit. And what Rahul has done is basically Rahul instructed Amit to deliver the chocolates directly to Mr. Gandhi. Come on, my dear friends. Very, very interesting case, sir. Sir, same like previous example only, but here all three are different parties. I repeat one more time. This is same like previous example, but all three are different parties, my dear friends. Sir, I repeat one more time, kindly please listen my dear friends. There is a person called Mr. Rahul who is a registered person in Rajasthan. He is a dealer in chocolates. Mr. Gandhi, registered person in Maharashtra. He is also a dealer in chocolates. Mr. Amit, registered person in New Delhi. He is also a dealer in chocolates. Now what has happened first? First what has happened is basically Gandhi ordered 10,000 chocolates with Rahul, and Rahul was not having stock with him. So he contacted Amit and ordered 10,000 chocolates, but told Amit, don't send it to me, directly send it to Gandhi. Otherwise he told, directly send the goods to Gandhi. So friends, if you observe very clearly, from Mr. Amit perspective, from whose perspective, my dear friends? From Mr. Amit's perspective, it is built to ship to model. Since built to Rahul and shipped to Gandhi, obviously, because Amit doesn't know who is Gandhi. I repeat one more time, Amit doesn't know who is Gandhi at all, but Amit has sent to Gandhi only because Rahul instructed Amit to send the goods to Gandhi. I repeat one more time, Amit doesn't know who is Gandhi at all, but Amit has sent the goods to Gandhi only upon the instructions of Mr. Rahul. Correct or not, my dear friends? So for this particular point, place of supply would be as per section 10(1)(b), and that is Rajasthan, my dear friends. Very clearly Rajasthan, because law clearly told if the goods are supplied by supplier to the recipient on the instructions of a third person, then place of supply will be principal place of business of such third person. One more time I repeat, sir, if the goods are supplied by supplier to the recipient on the instructions of a third person, if the goods are supplied by whom, sir? Supplier to the recipient on the instructions of a third person, then place of supply would be principal place of business of such third person. Now here in our example, who instructed, sir? Rahul instructed. Now what is the principal place of business of Rahul? That is nothing but Rajasthan. That is why answer is Rajasthan. Correct, right? Now story is not yet over, sir. The next point what I'll tell you is that, sir, since all three are different parties, one point what you need to observe is that Rahul got invoice from whom? Mr. Amit. Rahul is happy because Rahul got invoice from Amit. Very good. But the problem is all about Mr. Gandhi, because Mr. Gandhi got chocolates from whom? Mr. Gandhi actually got chocolates from Mr. Amit. But Gandhi placed order with whom? Gandhi placed order with Rahul. Ultimately, Gandhi cannot demand invoice copy from Mr. Amit. Gandhi cannot demand invoice copy from Mr. Amit, but Gandhi will demand invoice copy from Mr. Rahul. Correct or not? So if you observe carefully, for Mr. Rahul invoice to Mr. Gandhi, provisions of, I repeat one more time, provisions of section 10(1)(a) would apply. And why 10(1)(a) will apply? Because it's a case where there is movement of goods. Now don't get one out, sir. In first point, for Amit perspective, you told 10(1)(b), but for Rahul, why you are telling 10(1)(a)? You can't do partiality like that. There is no partiality, friends. There is a lot of concept here. Now what is that concept I want you to understand is that in case of Amit, we applied 10(1)(b) because somebody instructed Amit to send the goods to Gandhi. But in case of Rahul, nobody instructed Rahul to send the goods to Gandhi. Gandhi only contacted Rahul and ordered for goods. Did somebody instruct Rahul to send the goods to Gandhi? No. Nobody instructed Rahul to send the goods to Gandhi. That is why in case of movement of goods, I clearly told you that movement of goods can either be by supplier or by recipient or by third person. Now in this example, you have to observe that from Amit's perspective, Rahul is a third person. But from Rahul's perspective, Amit is a third person. From Amit's perspective, Rahul is the third person. But from Rahul's perspective, Amit becomes third person. And Rahul, nobody instructed Rahul to send the goods to Gandhi. Just that Gandhi ordered, Rahul has sent to Gandhi through Amit. Sir, if I am Rahul, did somebody instruct me to send the goods to Gandhi? No. Gandhi called me, asked for goods. I did not have. So I called Amit and told Amit to send the goods to Gandhi. That's all. Did somebody instruct me? No. But from Amit's perspective, did somebody instruct Amit? Answer is yes. Who instructed Amit? Rahul. Exactly. That is where there, from Amit point of view, we applied section 10(1)(b. But from Rahul point of view, since nobody instructed Rahul, we cannot apply 10(1)(b, but we'll apply 10(1)(a. And POS would be, what my dear friends? Maharashtra. Without any second thought, it is Maharashtra for a simple, quite obvious reason. That is very clear that whenever there is a movement of goods, place of supply will be the place where movement of goods terminates. Place of supply, in case where there is movement of goods, shall be the place where movement of goods terminates for delivery to the recipient. Such a fantastic question, my dear friends. In fact, let me tell you very clearly, this is one such question which has come in the exam. Of course, names are not the same, but the crux is the same. And students in the exam wrote only 10(1)(b) perfectly and came outside. Marks will not come, because in this example, there are two things involved. 10(1)(b) also, 10(1)(a) also. That is why you have to talk from both the perspectives and highlight both the sections. If you write only one, marks will not come. Now I know what doubt is going in your brain. Sir, in previous example, why you did not take two cases? Sir, in example of Prabhas and Bahubali, for Bahubali invoice, place of supply is Karnataka, but Prabhas, he will not give invoice. to Kattappa because the goods are sent to job worker. Whenever goods are sent from principal to job worker, it is not regarded as supply at all. When it is not regarded as supply at all, there is no question of GST. Clear, right? And that is the reason why I gave 3 examples, and last example is more crazy example where you observe some good points that there are 2 transactions involved, which you have to talk from the perspective of 10(1)(b) also, 10(1)(a) also. And for Amit, 10(1)(b) because somebody instructed Amit to send the goods to Gandhi. That is clearly a build to ship to model. But from Rahul perspective, it is not build to ship to, and nobody instructed Rahul to send the goods to Gandhi. Gandhi ordered and Rahul has sent. But Rahul has not sent by himself, he has sent it through Amit. Clear, right? Very, very interesting and of course very important. Similar kind of question came in exam for 4 marks, my dear friends. And a lot of people screwed up in the exam, but very interesting and important example. Clear? That's it. That is the end of story for section 10(1)(b). Take it, come on. Please write down. Very interesting and important, so please do write. And I want you to take all the 3 examples. And in all the 3 examples, there is good concept. So please write down. 10(1)(b). Goods are supplied by supplier to the recipient on the instructions of third person. Clear, right? Come on, write down. Come on, friends. Please do write. Don't hesitate to write, my dear friends. It's very important. It's very, very important that you have a great clarity of thought on this concept of section 10(1)(b). Extremely important, and also came in exams so many times. So no games at all. So please do write very properly. And I want you to take all the 3 examples without any second thought. And below that example, I clearly wrote the concept of 10(1)(b). So the concept in that box is what, my dear friends? If the goods are supplied by supplier to the recipient on the instructions of a third person, then place of supply would be principal place of business of such third person. So that is how, my dear friends, in this example, even though goods are going from Maharashtra to Goa, place of supply still became Karnataka. That is because of the story of principal place of business of such third person. Can I scroll? Yes, please. Done. Let's proceed. I humbly request you to take example 2 also. Please write example 2 also. Example 2 I gave because that is more a general example which is very common we get to see. But we don't realize that it is actually built to ship to model. We don't realize that. But it is actually very common and very practical. Done. Example 2 is over. And example 2 is clearly a case where Prakash is sitting in Mumbai and he ordered one cell phone from Amazon and instructed them to deliver it to Bangalore to his parents. Now, even though mobile went to Bangalore, place of supply will still become Maharashtra because goods are sent by Amazon to parents on the instructions of Prakash. There are 3 parties involved and instructions are given. So obviously 10(1)(b) only will come into picture. Clear, right? Done. Finally, take the last example, example 3, little more crazy example, but very important. Because in example 3, that is one such case where there are 2 transactions involved and 2 sections combined together. 10(1)(b) also, 10(1)(a) also. Very important, friends. Please write down. All 3 of them are dealers in chocolates. And there's huge concept there. I'll give you 2 minutes time. Quickly write down. Come on. So in this example, we have to see from 2 perspectives. That is, what is place of supply for Amit invoice and place of supply for Rahul invoice. For Amit invoice, obviously we'll apply 10(1)(b), but for Rahul invoice, we'll apply 10(1)(a) because nobody gave instructions to Rahul. But whereas when it comes to Amit, Amit has sent goods to Gandhi only upon the instructions of Mr. Rahul. Finished writing? Can I proceed and move forward, guys? Very good. Come on. Kindly please do reply. So friends, tell me friends, what is the answer for section 7? Section 7 deals with the concept of interstate supply. I'm talking about IGST Act. Section 8, intra-state supply. Section 9 supplies in territorial waters, and section 10 talks about place of supply in case of goods. And 10.1a clearly says whenever there is a movement of goods, place of supply will be the place where movement of goods terminates. Terminates means what? Stops for a delivery to the recipient. And 10.1b talks about something called goods are supplied by supplier to the recipient on the instructions of the third person. Clear, right? Done. Next 2-3 points are very small and simple. Next, my dear friends, section 10.1c. Which section, friends? 10.1c. Now let's say there is one person called Mr. Ashok, who is a registered person in Maharashtra. Registered person where, my dear friends? Maharashtra, who is basically a chartered accountant. And Ashok wants to open a branch. Ashok wants to what, my dear friends? Open a branch in Gujarat. Ashok wants to open a branch in Gujarat, my dear friends. Clear, right? So what he has done is that in Gujarat from Mr. I repeat one more time, my dear friends. In Gujarat from Mr. Kishore, in Gujarat from Mr. Kishore, Ashok purchased an office space along with furniture. Come on, my dear friends. What did Ashok do, my dear friends? Ashok purchased an office space along with furniture. Now, very clearly, one point what I'll tell you is that on office space, no GST, since it is land and building. We all know that on sale of land and building, there is no question of GST because of section 7.2a read with schedule 3. Because of 7.2a read with schedule 3 on sale of land and building, there is no question of GST except for construction services. That point we know, my dear friends. Correct, right? Now, on furniture, my dear friends, GST would apply. Now, my straight question to you, my dear friends, is the furniture moved, my dear friends? Come on. So let me repeat one more time. From Mr. Kishore, Ashok purchased an office space along with fixed furniture. So there was already an office space with fixed furniture. Office space with fixed furniture is what Ashok purchased from Kishore. From Kishore, Ashok purchased an office space along with fixed furniture. For office space, there is no GST since it is land and building because of section 7.2a, my dear friends. Already we know this. 7.2a read with schedule 3, boss. Now, is the furniture moved? My dear friends, come on, speak out. Is the furniture moved? Answer is no. That means very clearly there is no movement of goods. Now, what is the interesting point is that section 10.1c specified that POS in case where there is no movement of goods. POS in case where there is what, my dear friends? No movement of goods. 10.1a was applicable when there was movement of goods, and 10.1c is applicable when there is no movement of goods. 10.1c specifies that POS in case where there is no movement of goods shall be location of goods at the time of delivery to recipient. Come on, my dear friends. What is place of supply, sir? Place of supply will be location of goods at the time of delivery to the recipient. Now we observe carefully, where was the delivery to recipient done? Delivery to recipient was done in Gujarat. So for this furniture, my dear friends, without any second thought, place of supply will be what, my dear friends? Gujarat. That is straight away because of section 10(1)(c). Very simple concept. Nothing is there in this. 10(1)(c) clearly talks about place of supply in case where there is no movement of goods. And in case where there is no movement of goods, law clearly told that place of supply will be location of goods. What, my dear friends? Place of supply will be location of goods. Location of goods at the time of delivery to the recipient. What a brilliant point, my dear friends. Place of supply will be location of goods at the time of delivery to the recipient. Very brilliant, interesting and wonderful point, my dear friends. Pretty simple and easy. Come on. Take the example and take the concept. Very simple. 10(1)(b) is very tricky, boss. Because 10(1)(b) is talking about build to, ship to model. Slightly tricky. But other things are very simple and easy. Very, very simple and easy. Other points doesn't take much time. So 10(1)(c) talks about place of supply in case where there is no movement of goods, and place of supply will be location of goods at the time of delivery to the recipient. Very interesting language, friends. Clear, right? Can I scroll it? Come on, take it. I'm waiting for you. I'm not relaxing. I'm waiting for you. Come on. To finish off, I'll move forward. An interesting story of section 10(1)(c). Place of supply in case where there is no movement of goods. 10(1)(a) is what, my dear friends? Place of supply in case where there is movement of goods. 10(1)(b) talks about build to, ship to model. Goods are supplied by supplier to recipient on the instructions of third person. 10(1)(c) talks about what, my dear friends? No movement of goods. That's it. Next point. Next point is even more simple. 10(1)(d), my dear friends. Let me give a classic examples, my dear friends. Let's say there is a company called Reliance Limited, registered person in Maharashtra, and Reliance Limited is opening a new store in Sikkim. They are opening what, my dear friends? A new store in Sikkim, and Reliance Limited contacted Otis Elevators. Otis what, my dear friends? Elevators. What is elevator? Lift, my dear friends. Exactly. Reliance contacted Otis Elevator and paid them 50 lakhs for the purpose of elevator in new store. Clear or not? Come on, my dear friends. Who is supplier here? Supplier is very clearly Otis Elevator, and let's say Otis Elevator is registered person in Delhi, and Reliance Limited is the recipient. But in this example, my dear friends, place of supply will be Sikkim, my dear friends. But why? That is important. Because, my dear friends, as per section 10(1)(d), POS in case of goods assembled or installed. Come on, my dear friends. POS in case of what, sir? Goods assembled or installed. This is a case, obviously, Otis elevator will install the elevator. POS in case of goods assembled or installed shall be the place of such installation or assembly. So friends, as per section 10(1)(d), POS in case of goods assembled or installed shall be the place of such installation or assembly. Very, very interesting point, my dear friends. And whenever we talk about goods assembled or installed, please don't apply 10(1)(a), 10(1)(b), 10(1)(c. Directly apply 10(1)(d). Specific point is there. Please apply specific rule. That means when we are talking about goods assembled or installed, please don't apply 10(1)(a), 10(1)(b), 10(1)(c. Directly apply 10(1)(d) only, my dear friends. Because in case of goods assembled or installed, I repeat one more time, in case of goods assembled or installed, law clearly told that 10(1)(d) will apply. When 10(1)(d) will apply, please don't apply any other provision like that. Don't apply any other provision just like that. Please make sure that if it is assembled or installed, 10(1)(d) only should apply. Clear? Take this, come on. Small point. Sir, in 10(1)(a) to 10(1)(e), 10(1)(b) only will take lot of time. Other things are very easy, sir. It will not take much time. And for every point I am giving example because example only gives you more clarity. Directly if you learn, what will you get? Nothing will come. That is why example is very important. (10)(1)(d), place of supply in case of goods assembled or installed. So friends, what is 10(1)(a), my dear friends? 10(1)(a) talks about place of supply in case where there is movement of goods. 10(1)(b) talks about build to ship to model. 10(1)(c) talks about place of supply in case where there is no movement of goods. 10(1)(d) talks about place of supply in case where goods are assembled or installed. Clear? Finish writing? Speak out, friends. So for goods assembled or installed, what will be place of supply, my dear friends? It shall be the place of such installation or assembly. Wherever it is installed or assembled, that becomes the place of supply. Very interesting and important, friends. Clear? Done. So finally, the last clause in section 10, that is the story of section 10(1)(e), my dear friends. Now let's say, my dear friends, let's say for a second, there is one person called Mr. Varun from Telangana state. He is planning to go to Goa. He wants to go to Goa and have a great vacation there. He is planning to go to Goa for vacation and is planning to go by train, my dear friends. Clear, right? Now what has happened, my dear friends? There is one train which started in AP and then it is going towards Telangana, and from Telangana it is then going towards Karnataka and then going towards Maharashtra, and then the train will go to Goa. a long journey train, and he wanted to have a long journey train. Clear, my dear friends? Sir, don't question the question. Sir, why from Telangana to Karnataka, again Maharashtra, again Goa? What is happening, sir? Sir, please don't question the question. Only answer the question. Please, never ever question the question. If you question the question only will question you. Please don't do that. We want answer. Clear, right? Come on. In Telangana, what has happened? Varun entered the train. Clear, my dear friends? Now, there is one person called Mr. Anand. Now, Anand is basically a dealer in chips. Dealer in what, my dear friends? Chips. And he basically entered the train in Karnataka. Entered train in Karnataka along with the chips to start selling chips, my dear friends. That is who has done, my dear friends? Anand has done, who is a dealer in chips. Come on. So what is Anand basically? Anand is basically a supplier, and he is also a registered person for information, and he entered the train along with the chips. Now what has happened when the train was in journey? When train was in Maharashtra, Varun purchased 10 packets. Varun purchased what, my dear friends? 10 packets. And he ate. When the train was in Goa, my dear friends. So if you observe carefully, my dear friends, Varun entered the train where? Varun entered the train in Telangana, and train started from where? Train basically started from AP. Varun entered in Telangana, and in Karnataka, Anand entered to supply the chips. And when the train was in Maharashtra, I repeat one more time, when the train was in Maharashtra, Varun purchased 10 chips packets, and he ate when the train was in Goa. So he purchased when the train was in Maharashtra, and he ate when the train was in Goa. So my dear friends, who is supplier, sir? Supplier is nothing but Anand. What is Varun, my dear friends? Varun is basically the recipient. For this particular transaction, what will be the place of supply? That is a question. If you observe carefully, train is starting from where? Train is starting from AP. Varun entered where? Varun entered in Telangana. Anand entered where? Karnataka. And Varun purchased chips where? Varun purchased the chips when the train was in Maharashtra. And Varun ate the chips when the train was in Goa. Now your brain will start telling, ate, consumed in Goa, consumption based tax. Like that your brain will tell, I know. But let me tell you very clearly, the answer for place of supply is Karnataka, my dear friends. Why? There is one strong reason for that, which I'll clearly write in the bottom. Please see now. As per section 10(1)(e), POS in case of goods supplied on board a conveyance. Come on, my dear friends. Which section we are talking, my dear friends? As per section 10(1)(e). As per which section? As per section 10(1)(e). POS in case of goods supplied on board a conveyance. Why it is on board a conveyance? On board because when the train was in journey, at that time the goods were supplied. Conveyance could be a train or a bus or a flight, anything like that. Correct, right? And these are basically chips packets. Chips packets are obviously goods, my dear friends. But let's say in the train, we'll also have something called pantry. In the pantry, if they cook the food and give, that becomes service. Service is different, goods is different. So when we go to a restaurant, they prepare the food and give it to us. That is called service. But when we go to a shop, let's say we go to a shop, supermarket, and purchase one biscuit packet. The biscuit is an eatable item, food item, but it becomes a good. It is not a service. Packed items will be regarded as goods only. See now, as per section 10(1)(e), place of supply in case of goods supplied on board a conveyance shall be the place where goods are taken on board. So I repeat one more time, my dear friends. Place of supply in case of goods supplied on board a conveyance Come on, let me read out, my dear friends. Place of supply in case of goods supplied on board a conveyance shall be the place where goods are taken on board. So it is not important from where the train is starting, where the person entered, where the person purchased, where the person is eating. All that is not relevant. What is relevant is only the place where goods are taken on board. So where the goods enter the train, that is important. So where the goods enter the train, my dear friends? Goods enter the train when the train was in Karnataka. So without any second thought, place of supply will be Karnataka, my dear friends. And this answer is coming because of section 10(1)(e), which clearly says that place of supply in case of goods supplied on board a conveyance shall be the place where goods are taken on board. So when goods enter the train, that is important. When Varun entered the train is not important. When he purchased, that is not important. When he ate, that is not important. What is important is only when goods are taken on board. Very important concept, friends. Come on, please write down. Extremely wonderful concept. Please take it. As per section 10(1)(e), place of supply for goods supplied on board a conveyance shall be the place where goods are taken on board. Very, very interesting and important concept, friends. No doubt about it. Take the example. Come on, don't relax. And in fact, with this, the story of 10(1)(e) is over, and the story of section 10 also is over. Section 10, which deals with the wonderful concept of place of supply in case of goods. Very interesting, very important. And by the way, what is 10(1)(a), my dear friends? 10(1)(a) talks about place of supply in case where there is movement of goods, which says very clearly the place where movement of goods terminates for a delivery to the recipient. And 10(1)(b) talks about goods are supplied by supplier to the recipient on the instructions of third person, for which place of supply will be principal place of business of such third person. 10(1)(c) talks about place of supply in case where there is no movement of goods, and the answer is location of goods at the time of delivery to the recipient. And 10(1)(d) talks about place of supply in case of goods assembled or installed, and the place of supply will be place of such installation or assembly. Finally, last point, 10(1)(e) talks about place of supply in case where goods are supplied on board a conveyance. Goods are supplied what, sir? On board a conveyance. And for that, law clearly told that place of supply will be the place where goods are taken on board. That's it. This is what is the end of story for section 10(1)(a), 10(1)(b), 10(1)(c), 10(1)(d) and 10(1)(e). And 10(2) clearly says if the place of supply cannot be determined under section 10(1), then it is determined in such manner as may be prescribed. So far nothing is prescribed, but in future if there is a conflict between any of the point, or you are not able to determine place of supply, government will use the power of 10(2) and determine what will be the place of supply. Very interesting concept, friends. Clear, right? Done. We will stop with this session here. Balance will take forward in next session. And this session we completed the story of section 7, section 8, section 9 and section 10 of IGST Act. And next session, first we'll complete section 11, pretty simple and small concept. And after that, we'll also start discussion with section 12 also, which deals with the concept of place of supply for services. Goods, we could finish very simple and in an easy manner. But services will take some time, because since services are intangible in nature, there are more and more subsections involved there. So that will take more time. We'll spend very good time in the next session and discuss about next points. Clear? Thank you so very much. Take care. See you all in next session. Bye bye. Do take care. Thank you.